How y'all doing this morning? All praises to Yahweh by Hashem, Yahushua. That's the Hebrew tongue. What we call in the English tongue, Christ, Jesus. Today we're going to go over Hebrew. I'm sorry. No, we're going to talk about the book of Genesis and just talk about, get some insight on the book of Genesis and who and what the book of Genesis is speaking of. We know that the book of Genesis means to birth. Like this is the beginning, right? So Genesis is the book of the beginning of creation and all things. So I want to get some insight on this because I was talking to a brother yesterday, and the brother was an unbelief of the Bible and the scriptures, and he was saying that he didn't believe because of Genesis chapter 6 verse 6, and it's reference to God saying that he had it. Matter of fact, let's just get it, because I don't want to be sitting here giving my own opinion. We're going to let the scriptures speak and let the scriptures and through the Most High Spirit give us understanding. Everybody don't have understanding of the scriptures. Everybody don't have knowledge and wisdom of the book. But this book is a living book. It's real. And let's go to the book of Genesis 6 and verse 6. I'm going to read it and tell you what this is why he don't believe. And it says, this is why he doesn't believe in the Most High, because of Genesis 6 and 6. And it says, and he repented the Lord that he had made man on earth, and he grieved him at his heart. And I'm going to go to 7. And it says, and the Lord said, I will destroy man whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, and the creeping things, and the fowls of the air, for it repented me that I have made them. You see, let's go to 8. It says, but Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. So, and I was explaining to him that this was talking about, the Most High, because of the wickedness that was going on for man. This is why he made that statement that he would destroy man and, and beasts from the earth. And he was like, nah, man, I don't believe in that. I don't, that ain't why he's saying that. So, and I was explaining to him, like I said, that this is, he was saying this because, of the wickedness that had took place with man, but he said he found grace with Noah. You see, you got to remember, Noah was saved from the flood, and back then, and he the scriptures say, but he found grace, and he found grace in the eyes. But Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. You see, because Noah was the only righteous man on the earth, at that time. He was a just man and a perfect, in the eyes of the Most High. So that's why, he lived, and only 8 people lived through that flood. So I was just trying to explain that to the brother, to give him some insight of why the Most High said what he said, and that's really not a reason for you to say that, that you don't believe in his word, you don't believe in his Bible, that he said he can, man, I'll make you put that book up, brother, you got to have faith in this thing and walk in this thing according to what the scripture said, not of your own understanding. So let's just get some insight on the book of Genesis. it says Genesis tells us how the universe came into being. And a matter of fact, it describes the wonders of creation these overshadow without making these overshadow the main purpose of the book. It is thus unlike the pagan creation stories that make these marvels the main things and go to absurdities and obvious untruths to stress them. Genesis tells us the work of creation and how it shows God's purpose in creating man, the relationship of man to God, and the relationship of man to the animals. It gives us the reason for death and trouble experienced by mankind and the hope of deliverance. It points out all humans descended from one man, Adam, who sinned and lost life for his posterity. Ransom sacrifice posterity and thereby enables us to understand how the ransom sacrifice of one man, Yahushua, who we call Jesus in the English, could atone for the sins of mankind. You see, so the Most High, he made and created this for his purpose, this earth and man. Genesis enabled us to see how the issue of the rightfulness of God's sovereignty was raised by the symbolic serpent, Satan, the devil. It gives the sure hope of destruction of Satan and of relief of mankind. And this recounts the origin of Babylon and thus of all false religion. You see. So this is what Babylon, this is why you have so many false religions and pagan religions in Babylon the Great. That's why you got all of these different organizations and things going on, and false practices and non-believers, So it says, Yahushua said that if anyone serves God, that one must worship him with spirit and truth. The Genesis account sets forth the truth of man beginning of God's dealing with him. Since everything recorded in Genesis is true and not mythical, we are able to know the truth about man's history, and the creation of mankind, That's why you read this in the beginning, in the book of Genesis. It says we can see that up to the time of the flood, men certainly knew the truth of the biblical account of Eden. For the garden was there, and cherubs were there with the flaming sword as its gate. But those who wanted to go the way of their own desires ignored the fact But those who wanted to go in the way of their own desires ignored the facts that were before them. Noah, however, served God according to the way that man was originally created to serve him. So that's why Noah didn't get destroyed in the flood. But everybody else was, out of all the people on the earth, everybody died except Noah. So I wanted to share that with y'all, and get some understanding of this. It said Noah, however, served God according to the way that man was originally created to serve him, according to the true history. Although following the flood, Nimrod set up rebellion against God and the Tower of Babel, the patriarchs through the line of Shem continued to hold to the true way of life. When it was God's time to organize Israel into a nation and give them the law, it did not come to them like something completely unknown, a revolutionary change in their way of life. For in the patriarchal society, they had done many of these things and found